Hey guys, Nocturnal here. So a lot of you guys are hopping into Spellbreak for the first time, and whether you guys are struggling to secure those dubs or just looking to improve your overall gameplay, today I'm going to be talking about the important tips and essential practices that I always keep in mind and am aware of whenever I hop to games. Now, keep in mind a lot of these things are not going to be apparent and obvious to you when you're first starting out, so whether you're a new or even more experienced player, these gameplay tips and tricks will help you improve your foundation for the game, build your knowledge and skill base, and hopefully help you secure those dubs at the end of the day. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Alrighty guys, so I just want to preface this by saying this is part of the Spellbreak series on this channel. Our last video was a general guide and overview of the gameplay and unique mechanics in the game. So if you guys are just getting started and want to know what this game's all about and its general rules, don't forget to check that video out down below. Alrighty guys, so the first thing we're going to talk about is something that you need to do the moment you land. Now, like other battle royales, the faster you itemize in early game, the better your chances of survival and the better off you're going to be, especially in early duels. Now, there are a lot of items that you should be keeping an eye out for, including belts and runes. Belts granting you that extra shield bar, which puts you at a significant advantage against someone who doesn't have shield at all. And runes, which grants you a lot of mobility and utility against opponents, and it's especially good if you have one that you really enjoy or are used to. Now, the issue with these two items is that they can't consistently drop for you. You can't rely on a belt to drop out of just the first chest you find, and a rune of your choice is not always going to be there. So the item that you should be rushing and looking for especially is a second gauntlet. Now, having that second gauntlet grants you access to a second sorcery or cooldown ability, as well as the utility of having a second auto attack. Now, this is not only important because having that second sorcery or cooldown ability and the utility of another auto attack is exceptionally strong early game, just like the belt and the rune. But unlike the belt and the rune, gauntlets are plentiful throughout the Hallowlands, and by that I mean the moment you land, there's a high chance you're going to be landing near a gauntlet. So filling up that second slot is something that it's easy to find and something that you should prioritize over finding something like a belt and a rune that's not as easily obtained. That being said, with regards to itemization, all three of these are important, especially early game, so keeping an eye out for these the moment you land will increase your chances of survival and hopefully bring you closer and closer to your next victory. Alrighty, so let's talk mana vaults. Now, these shiny chests that take exceptionally long to open are not just essential to understanding because they have a lot of really good loot, but because they can be applied strategically while you play the game. Now, a mistake a lot of new players will make is hanging around a mana vault while they're waiting for the loot to come out. And the issue is because mana vaults take 20 seconds to close and they're usually placed in wide open areas, this puts players waiting for a mana vault to open at a terrible strategic position. A closing mana vault can be seen from far away, and anyone hanging around it are easily visible. So anyone sitting near a mana vault at this time is basically putting a target on their backs. Now, I don't mean just disregard, the loot in a mana vault, but what I would recommend, especially for new players, is after you activate the mana vault, find a strategic position or go ahead and just continue looting or finding buildings. And eventually, closer to when the vault closes, you can come in and swoop up the loot really quick if the coast is clear. And if not, if there's someone actually trying to come in and get the loot and contest the mana vault, you'll have a strategic position to either make the first move, or at least it gives you the opportunity to assess the situation, whether you want to fight or not. Taking this further, you can use mana vaults offensively. And if you see a closing mana vault from a distance, make sure you scan the area and you can maybe find the enemy's position before they're aware you're there at all. Of course, having the jump in this game, as is with any survival battle royale, is exceptionally strong, so keep that in mind when you're approaching mana vaults. And basically, when it comes to mana vaults, just don't be greedy. When you're dealing with these lucrative vaults, you're going to be in a wide open area, and if you're caught by surprise, it's going to put you at a severe disadvantage. Of course, every situation is different, it may be totally clear and you guys can chill around it. It's better to approach these vaults cautiously than just die and not get any action or loot at all. So, like I said, you can also use this information extremely offensively and gain a lot of information about the other players in your game. So yeah, just basically don't be greedy. Alright, so the next topic we're going to cover are talents, and not just how to build them, but most importantly, how to get them. And I don't want to stress enough the importance of talents because these are your passive that you bring into each and every game. Now with these passives, they can do things that range from resurrecting yourself from death to increasing your damage or allowing you to consume consumables twice as fast. And these are extremely significant because they impact the way you can approach and play the game. Now the most important part of this is the fact that you need to unlock a lot of these talents, and to do so, all you have to do is level up each class to level 6. And I can't stress enough the importance of this process. And while yes, at level 6 you get to unlock a certain talent from each class, the important part of this is that you also get the time and the introduction to how each class works. So it not only allows you to tap into the most potent passive abilities, but it also teaches you a lot about the game, a lot about the classes and gauntlets. And even if you're not going to be playing a certain gauntlet, you will at least have the knowledge of what they do, so that way you'll be prepared when you encounter them in the Hallowlands. Alrighty guys, now before we get to our last topic, just a real quick bonus tip for you guys looking to really get cheeky and spice up your gameplay a little bit. So, as you know, your sorceries are on cooldown, and in the heat of battle, you oftentimes will misplace it or not use it as effectively as you can. But what you can do to really maximize how you use it and place it properly is you can hold the Q and E button, and that will not only give you the time to place it wherever you want, but it will also suspend you in midair for that duration. So not only will you be able to place these sorceries, your firewalls, your toxic bombs, and earth boulders properly, but you can really extend your airtime. So you can combo it with, say, just your normal levitate or even a featherfall rune or a flight rune, and really maximize your time in the air. Although there's a few key things that you might want to keep in mind while you're doing this. First off, you're not going to be able to regenerate mana while you're holding this, and on top of that, you won't be able to hold on to the sorcery forever. And lastly, because you're going to be suspended in midair, you're going to be a relatively easy target for a Frostborn or Conduit user, so just make sure you keep that in mind while you're suspended up there. But yeah, besides that, feel free to incorporate it into your gameplay and just go crazy with it. Alrighty guys, so the last tip I have for you guys is kind of a general tip and applies to any single situation in the game. Of course, Spellbreak is a game where the combat is extremely dynamic, the mobility is wild, and duels often last longer than just, you quick instant snipe. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to get away and just quickly heal. Keep this in mind because there is a lot of opportunities in between fights or in between even like a duel where you can briefly and quickly just pop a quick pot instead of just waiting for the next piece of action to appear. Understanding that the nature of the combat in Spellbreak is more thorough and extended, you can use this to your advantage to consistently come back to fights fully replenished. In a word, just don't be afraid to be patient and turtle a little bit. The name of the game is survival, so at the end of the day, your health is your most important resource, and keeping this in mind, popping pots as soon as you can, even when you have the slightest reprieve in combat, or just escaping combat briefly, like I said, because it's hectic and a lot of times fights involve multiple parties, so for a time you can actually get just lost in the sauce and maybe just hide away in a building or in a crevice, and yeah, just replenish yourself and come back fully armed and filthy. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up my general tips and tricks that I tend to follow whenever I'm in a game. Like I said, for newer players, you may not all be aware of these things. The mana vaults and talents especially are things that you can definitely work on and definitely improve as you continue to play the game. And hopefully as you gain more experience, as you get better at aiming and understand your gauntlets better, your experience will come together with these tips and hopefully lead you to increased survival, more loot, and the ultimate goal of more victory royales. So yeah, don't forget to keep these in mind whenever you hop into the game. Hey guys, as always, thanks again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys learned anything new today, don't forget to like and subscribe below. As I mentioned earlier, this is part of a Spellbreak series where we cover the game in more depth, and if you guys are just looking to improve your gameplay or learn more about the game in general, don't forget to check out those videos down below. And yeah, we do stream 3 times a week on Twitch, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, where we do cover Spellbreak as well as the other games I play. So if you guys are interested in learning more in person, feel free to come there and ask questions and just hang out in general. So yeah, besides that, we will see you guys next time. Catch you later.